Today's Stripe Show podcast is brought to you by About Golf Simulators. And we're back, Stripe Show podcast on a Tuesday. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Travis Fulton, joined by my man Keith Stewart. He's not on site this week, but he will be. There's another tournament or two out there he'll be traveling to. Sanderson Farms this week. Whoa, what a field. We're back. But we've dug in, folks. We've got some really good picks for you that we think will do well down there in Jackson, Mississippi. And Keith, I was going to come on and I really thought about doing the research and doing my best Italian to open the show, but I just couldn't pull it off. How you doing, bud?
I am well, Travis. It's great to be with you. And next week I'll be on the road in Vegas. Yep. I mean, why not? If you can go somewhere, let's go to Vegas. So, but I'm in the studio this week, and a pleasure, as always, to be on a Stripe Show with you.
Yeah, man. This is we'll get to Sanderson Farms here in a second, but I know you and I were texting last week, the Ryder Cup. And things didn't go as planned there, Mr. Stewart, for the boys over there in Rome. 16.5 to 11.5. I did a big thing yesterday on the podcast, and I probably spent too much time on the job that I thought Luke Donald did and the circles that I thought he did around Zach Johnson. I know the players hit the shots, but I can't remember another Ryder Cup where I was more impressed with a captain than I was with Luke Donald.
Well, case in point, how many times have you been at the closing ceremonies and the players are yelling out one more time? I mean, I've never seen, the team yell for their captain. I've seen them be very appreciative, but I've never seen them go through the trouble of saying, we want Luke again. Mm-hmm. And I'll be the first one to raise my hand. I thought that the U.S. had the talent to go over there. As it turned out, there's an old saying, style filters down, or maybe the fish stinks from the head, but we were just not a coordinated effort over there whatsoever. And I did not handicap the captains at all. And that was my biggest mistake. I'll raise my hand and say I was wrong because, from the opening ceremonies, captain's remarks till the very end, we were just outled in every way imaginable. It just, it's too bad, mm-hmm. For me, the one positive, because I know we don't want to dwell on this forever. We got to move on to Sanderson, but I think Max Homa, now for 2 straight, I was at Quail Hollow last year at the President's Cup. I was blown away with his play and his ability to handle that huge situation. And he took it to a next level this year. So, I think anyone that's in that camp should be congratulated, starting with him. I think tremendous job. And Luke Donald was so impressive every step of the way. I know you went there yesterday, so I just got to validate that because, everything that guy did, and they talk about tearing this thing and burning it down and everything, just go follow the culture that he built. And folks, that's the key to winning right there. And I think it is over there. Job.
Yeah.
What's that?
Over there for sure. Over there for sure.
Oh, yeah.
There's a huge disconnect when we go over there. Now, I do think when they play in the United States, which, they've been able to hold their own over here, obviously. I do think when they get on a course like Whistling Straits, Bethpage, they're going to set it up, obviously, to the strength of the American players and the ball being in the air. And the better player, I do think, kind of plays out. Although I do think this team from Europe, when they come over here in a couple years, there's going to be a lot of time put into what they need to do to be competitive and perhaps pull this thing out in Bethpage. I just think the entire process, when we go over there, you can see the breakdown. I mean, when is it in our best interest that going over there and picking our buddies to be on the team, like that's that's where we're at, right? Like that's kind of what we did really, is that we just kind of went down and said, hey, these guys are friends and they all get along in the locker room. And that's what we're going to do. Like that's our best effort leading forward. Meanwhile, Luke and his team, Eduardo Molinari, I said that name yesterday. That's a guy that needs to be mentioned. I reached out to him. We've exchanged a few DMs over the years, and I'd love to have him on. I don't think he's going to. He's not going to give away, a lot of the things that he did for that team. But I guarantee you, there was a lot of time put with Eduardo Francisco, his brother, and there were a lot of analytics and details coming in, and they played right to that, exactly to it. It went to their picks in Robert McIntyre, Sepp Straka, obviously Aberg, who we'll talk about today. He's in the field, and it went right to them. And their captain's picks played out brilliantly. Their four ball, obviously, their foursomes, just again dominant over there. It just felt very strategic, very organized, very articulated from Luke to the press, which then was back to his team. Inspiration, masterclass through and through. And we got embarrassed, man. Look, United States, 1 through 12, it's the better team. There's way more talent. You cannot convince me otherwise.
Yeah.
And they went over there and got their asses handed to them. I mean, that's a beatdown.
Well, again, there's no I in team. They did not come together and play well together. And I honestly believe, having experienced all of this in the middle of the night, that it just golly. I mean,
Yeah.
All right. So the European team seems to rally around each other, and we do to a certain point, but like the way that Luke, like on social media, took everyone through the locker room, and then he went into the locker room itself, and he's like, we hung a locker up here for Seve, right? We put his last golf shirt from his last Ryder Cup that he played in. All right. So if you were I got a question for you. If you were going to create that locker room atmosphere for the U.S. team, whose golf shirt would you hang?
Well, Tiger probably, but for different reasons, not so much from a Ryder Cup performance standpoint, but as the best player ever, or certainly of this generation, you would probably try to draw on Tiger because they all love him.
I mean, to me, that's the problem with the way that we run this thing. We just expect to play better and win, and we don't play as a team. And then it's like we're not prepared. I mean, how are they not ready for all of this? They had, all due respect to Eduardo Molinari, he's brilliant, but we had similar statisticians, and I'm sure they gave them similar reports, and then we just don't use them. I mean, what are we doing on what is Zach doing on Saturday PM 4-balls when he's got Cantley playing with Clark, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they don't even play a practice round together. They were never even paired together. Yeah. What are we doing? Yeah. Like what? Like this is the frustrating part for me. I mean, I could get over like 600 Derek Jeter and like Tony Finau and Annika Sorenstam commercials, right? But like when the golf was actually on TV, you made a point to defend your choice to take JT and Jordan, and then you put out two rookies in the foursomes on Friday morning, and you don't even put those guys out. Like, explain that to me. Just explain that to me, because I don't get it, right? And when you look at great coaches like a Greg Popovich or a Bill Belichick or a John Wooden or whomever, right? Those guys, you never have to figure out what they're up to. It was no mystery to me what Luke Donald was doing. He had 3 horses, 3 thoroughbreds, and he was going to run them out until, I mean, John Rahm would have played Saturday afternoon if he was needed, but they rested him and they allowed it, gear down your emotions for a minute because you're going out first tomorrow. There's no doubt about it on Sunday, right? Like, why don't we use a plan? I am sure there were people behind the scenes that were trying to create a plan, but why are we using it? Like, what is going on? And I don't care about hats, and I don't care about Joe LaCava losing his mind for 20 seconds and getting in players' faces or whatever. I mean, that's just all distraction away from the fact that why didn't we have a better plan and preparation? That to me, that drives me nuts.
Yeah, and then be prepared when things do change or someone gets sick or what are you going to do? How are you going to pivot? Yeah, it just makes no sense. I mean, that was some of my stuff I talked about yesterday. Like some of this information has to be coming in. There are people doing things.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what some of the other vice captains really do other than Fred Couples spilling out information that doesn't even pan out to what actually did play out for the U.S. team. So our vice captains aren't even really dialed in what Zach is thinking. I mean, so I don't even know what Fred does or Furyk or Stricker or Sink. I don't know. Like, I don't even know what they're doing. They're just, they're kind of walking around. Freddie's cool. Nice interview. I like Fred. I mean, but what value are they bringing to the team? What is their role? And so, yeah, I agree. I think there's stats coming in. I'm with you on those things. Spieth's all over the map Friday. Let's run him back out there on Saturday morning, all over the map. Let's run him back out there Saturday afternoon. I mean, what? Like, none of it even makes sense. And that's where, and you texted me this. I'm going to give you credit. I don't know if you don't want me to say this, but I'm going to anyway.
Oh, here we go. Let it go. Well, I mean, how can it get you worse?
You said it's something to the tune of it's hard for the captain to hurt the team of a Ryder Cup. It's hard. Like, you really have to kind of make some blunders. And that's where we were at. Like, it just felt like the whole thing was completely unorganized. And there was just, it just felt like the plan was, hey, we're the better team. Let's just show up and play. Players hit the shots, and that's what it is. Doesn't work over there. I'm sorry. Next time we go over, it's 34 plus years. So anyway, that's the wrap on that. Actually, no, one more thing. I'm going to say this one more time because you brought up Max Homa, and you're exactly right. Let's start here. Okay. I'm going to start with the plan, right? Here's the plan. Everybody bitches about it, but no one wants to offer a solution. Well, here's step number one. Step number one is going to be, let's start identifying players that the Ryder Cup means something to them, and let's establish what that plan is. And here's the criteria to be a part of the Ryder Cup. Okay. And if you can't check those boxes and they don't mean it's not for you, it doesn't fit in your schedule, doesn't make sense for you financially, whatever, I'm sure there's a list of things that can be brought up. Then we will eliminate you from the idea of a Ryder Cup. My vice captains are going to be out there. They're going to be spending time with you, and they're going to be reporting back to me. And as I get wind that maybe this isn't for you, then I'm not going to take you, Xander Schauffele. I'm not going to take you, Patrick Cantlay. And that means we might have to clip one or two of our best players. But you know what? I don't care. I just want a little more of a unified front. Take out the BS noise. And can we just go and just be a team that has some of an identity and a culture of guys that want to be there? Let's start with that first. No excuses. And then we'll take our chances from there. I'm just so over this Xander. And I told you, I've told you this for a couple years now with Xander. There's some, it ain't right, man. It's not right. I'm not saying that they don't deserve to get paid. That's a different conversation. I'm just saying that as of right now, this year, this is what it is. This is what you're signing up for. And if that's a problem, then don't go. Don't go. Don't make it an issue and make something part of the team, because we need a little more no nonsense, right? No more nonsense. Here's the deal. Here's what you're signing up for. If it doesn't mean something to you and these things don't apply and you have a problem with those, then we're fine with that. Because you know what? We'll take Keegan Bradley. We'll take someone who's hungry and it means something to them, and they'll play inspired golf. And you know what? America's deep enough that they'll still go over there and compete. And they can't do any damn worse than we've done over the last 30 years.
Let's talk
about Sanderson Farms.
I'm not looking for the best players. I'm looking for the right ones.
There you go.
Famous Herb Brooks line.
Yeah.
I just think the last thing I'll say on any of this, why is it always an issue like our Olympic basketball team can't perform? Why is it that the Ryder Cup? I mean, it's just as an American.
Yeah.
Let's go to Sanderson.
All right, Sanderson Farm. Excuse me. Jackson. I went to Jackson, Mississippi.
Oh,
Yeah, first time I ever been.
any good?
Yeah,
or two trips in one.
No, I did. I went and did a training and was a speaker in Jackson there for the PGA. I did a little training thing there, and we were just outside of the city. I didn't get to spend much time down there, but yeah, that was the first time. I had a really good. We went somewhere really good prime rib. Of course, they've got they're known for their blues, right? The music, and so yeah, I'd go back. I'd go back to Jackson. Go back to Jackson. I want to play the Country Club of Jackson. That's where we're at. 7,400 yards, par 72.
Yeah,
it's a birdie fest, Keith. Right? These guys, we're gonna have to make some birdies. I'll just state this, and then I'm going to give you the floor to educate our audience on what we need to know here about this course. But I did go back to the previous winners, Mackenzie Hughes, 2022.
Yeah,
he lost strokes off the tee. Okay, but he was +5 in approach, +4.5 around the green, +3.7 in putting. And then in 2021, Sam Burns won. And he lost strokes putting, -2, which is kind of unlike Sam. But he gained it +6 off the tee, +8 approach, and then pretty 0.4 in around the green. Sergio won at 19. He lost strokes around the green, but was solid off the tee, +5, +7 approach, +2 putting. All right, so I look at these names. Sebastian Munoz is one here. Cameron Champ is one here. I mean, my goodness. I mean, this is with this field and what I'm seeing who's won here in the past and how they did it. This thing is wide open, isn't it?
8 of the last 9 winners. So I only go back 9 because they started playing at Country Club of Jackson in 2014. So 8 of the last 9 winners had pre-tournament odds of +5,500 or greater. So that's 55 to 1. So yes, there's the favorites are easy to fade at the Sanderson Farms Championship. Sam Burns is the only one. He was 16 to 1 that came in as a favorite and played well and won back in 2021. You know, it's interesting. It's everyone looks at this golf course and they start to say, oh, you got to put the ball in the fairway. Oh, the approach buckets are 125 to 175. Like those guys are all good from that range. They're all great from that range, right? Mm-hmm. They'd be the best player at your home club from that range, from 125 to 75, hands down. Any guy in the field, right? It helps to not be in the rough, and it seems like over those 9 years, the strongest trend has been with the putter, and that's probably not someplace that people are looking a lot. But I started to ask myself, like when I handicap these things and thinking as like a golf coach, like if Travis was my player, what would we be working on? And it really comes down to the grass. All right, Bermuda grass rough, very difficult to deal with from an approach perspective. So get the ball in the fairway, Travis, right? Like then when you are approaching, it's like, okay, what is our foolproof plan to get the ball on the green, reasonably good size green, 6,200 square feet on average, right? So a little bit bigger than average. And then the other thing is that how do you putt on Bermuda grass greens? And it seems to me like as you go down through that list, Bermuda Burns, Cam Champ, he was like 9 strokes putting that year. So like these guys for the year that they won, they did it with obviously proximity to the hole with a wedge in their hand, but they handled the Bermuda grass. And I think that that's the biggest thing that people, that if they just look at the numbers, they kind of don't really put it all in like a macro perspective, which is a golf professional. That's where I start all the time, which is why, hey, no one wins every week, but we can contend a lot more than other people if you understand what it takes to actually succeed on the golf course. And we're deep south right here. I mean, this is like the grainiest, weediest Bermuda you're going to get.
Yep.
Right. When they're like, when you go to US Open and it's up north and they're like, oh, the rough is 5 inches. If you had 5 inches of Bermuda, you wouldn't find the golf ball. Right. Like 2 inches of Bermuda equates to like double that in bent grass or ryegrass or Kentucky, fescue grasses and stuff like that. So I think if you really get an appreciation who in the field can handle the Bermuda grass, both in the rough, around the greens, and of course on the greens, then I think that that's really the secret to handicapping this thing. And that's my course breakdown for you.
Well, I mean, look, to go back to the tee shot for a second. It's, I think some distance plays out here. But
Sure.
it's like, you don't have to be striping the fairways here. This is not Marco Simone. I mean, this is there's going to be a little bit more room here to hit the driver. And I mean, we know approach is going to play out here. You're going to have a great iron week. You're going to have a lot of shots from 100 to 125, 125 to 150. Again, this isn't Marco Simone where they're going to kind of force your hand maybe with more middle irons, which I thought was very clever last week. And to your point, yeah, I agree. The Bermuda, very, very fast Bermuda greens here. I have heard multiple players say the best greens of the year at times.
Huh.
Okay, so I've heard fast, lightning fast Bermuda green. So yeah, those are I think that sums it up good. All right, let's go to the board. We're gonna try a couple new segments here, Keith. You and I have been talking. We're gonna call this one the opening tee shot. Okay. The opening tee shot where Keith takes you right away. Look at the board. First click. What do you got?
When I got to the board on Monday morning, first guy, Doug Gim. That was it.
Ugh.
And because I knew that the ball, because it's been a while since these guys have played, Travis. I know that his ball striking will stand the breaks, the off and on that these guys have had since the Wyndham. I mean, it's almost been like 2 months since these guys have played routinely. And, what do we need? We just talked about it. The putter. One of the things that stuck out in my mind from the Fortinet, and there was a couple things there, Homa, Thomas playing well, et cetera, but was that Doug Gim gained almost 3 shots on the greens. So I knew he's the type of young star that's been building confidence and is trending towards a win. So I was looking for his number. He's in the mid 5, like he's up there around 50. So I was like, boom. I love Doug
currently
Gim.
50 to 1 right now on most boards. Doug Gim. Wow. I wasn't expecting that. I'll be honest. I was not expecting that name first click on a Monday. All right, I'll go 45 to 1.
Player.
Here's the first one I went to. I'll go 45 to 1 Sam Ryder.
Oh.
And I was talking with his coach this morning, Josh Gregory. And the reason is I was like, Josh, his iron game, like it is exceptional right now. I mean, really, really good. Coming along.
Yeah.
Look at him at Fortinet. He was 14th. FedEx St. Jude. I know I'm going back. He was 31st. But you look at the last 5 tournaments, we're talking +4 and above with approach. At Fortinet, +6.4 approach. Off the tee, +3.2. Now, can Sam Ryder make enough putts? I think that's always the issue, but his best surface by far with the flat stick is Bermuda.
Yeah.
So you heard it here first. Sam Ryder, 45 to 1, first click, wins Sanderson Farms by 1 over Doug Gim.
I mean, he's the perfect fit for that place.
Yep. HackMotion is an innovative wrist analysis sensor and app that measures players' wrist and hand movement in the golf swing. With audio feedback and different drill modes, it offers the capability to improve players' wrist mechanics in the golf swing to provide a better club face control and impact position. HackMotion can be used for both full swing and putting to cover all golf shots. HackMotion is used by some of the top golf coaches today around the world. Visit hackmotion.com.
He needs to trend a little with the putter, but he's definitely you said you were surprised by Gim. I am not surprised by Sam Ryder.
Okay.
So I would validate that 100%. I think that, yeah. I
On
mean,
that note,
yeah.
let's take it
All
to
right.
the top of the board. Our boy
Ooh.
Ludwig Aberg, the favorite, 12-1. Eric Cole, 20. Jaeger, 20. Griot, 25. Bo Hostler, wow, 30. Say that out loud. Bo Hostler, 30-1. Keith Mitchell, 30-1. Kim, 33. Herbert, 35. Let's stop there. Top of the board. I want to know, when you look at that, if we're going to fade a favorite, who's it going to be?
Oh, um, I say this all the time. It is tough to be the tournament favorite on the betting board. That information is available. All right. And you're talking about, I know, don't you say Aberg, I say Oberg. I don't care. The kid, superstar, you cannot call somebody a generational talent just because they haven't played in the major and they played in a Ryder Cup. I think he performed very, very well. He also played with the best player, the best partner in the Ryder Cup. I mean, that doesn't hurt, playing with Victor the whole time. I have a tough time saying 12-1. There's a lot of value in Ludwig Oberg at that point. So if at the top of the board with so much unknown, and the fact that they probably didn't go to bed in Rome the other night, and that he would be easily distracted, but he's here because he knows in this field he could show up in top 20, no problem, or probably even top 10, the way that he's hitting it, and get his FedEx Cup fall points. I would fade Ludwig not to win.
Yeah, we're on the same page here. That was my guy. We don't know this, but that's after looking at the board. That's where I went as well. I can't sign up for that at this point. I know he's young. I know he's got all the energy in the world, but he has been partying. So much energy has to be exposed at the Ryder Cup. I can't even imagine the exhaustion that these guys go through on a Monday and a Tuesday. They have to feel like they've been hit by a truck.
Yeah.
And just the adrenaline. And so you come off of that, and now you got to fly back to Jackson, Mississippi, and you're going to go out there and get hit with a little humidity. And I don't know, man, it feels like a big ass. Plus, this isn't like the best course for him either. I mean, if I'm playing to his strength, I mean, don't you think, like, driver wise, he wants to see it a little more of a premium on the driver? I mean, you can get away with a little bit more here off the tee. I don't think his iron game is exactly a strength. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I know he's a great player, but I think you're going to need your irons to be really, really peak here this week. I don't know. I just feel like this isn't the best track for him. He's coming off the Ryder Cup. I'm with you. I'm going to fade the favorite, Ludwig and a bog. Now,
Makes sense.
top of the board. Talk me off of Jaeger. Like if
Tell me when his last top 10 was.
I know. You just did it.
All right. An exceptional, if this was a DFS podcast, an exceptional play there. And I can back that up by saying that I drafted him last year for season-long fantasy, and he was one of the foundational parts of my team. Right. But yeah, could Jaeger be your Thursday first round leader? Sure. But he hasn't finished in the top 10 in 6 months.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, what is going to be the difference that makes him do that? I don't know that's, I would think it would be repetition and competing and not sitting on the sidelines for 7 weeks and not really doing, and just playing and trying to get ready for all of this. Give me a top 10 and maybe a week from now or 2 weeks from now, ball striker place like the Zozo, maybe Jaeger, but like fresh off the jump, he's not the most reliable name at the top there, and the other one, the two hot names this week are going to be Cole and Jaeger, and neither one of them, they all are great at getting in the top 40, top 30, top 20, top 10. No. And you got to think about that.
So based off that logic, you want some win equity. So are you then going to go down to Keith Mitchell?
Well, I think I'd have to go with the guy who won most recently near the top of the board in Emiliano. Griot. Because he's played there 4 times. He's always finished in the top 40, and last year he finished 5th.
Yeah.
And he's a better player now than he was a year ago at the Sanderson. So, at the top of the board, you want me to trust somebody. I mean, those would be the 2 names. Maybe Svensson.
You would trust Griot and Mitchell.
I would trust Griot and Mitchell.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you in both cases, you'd say, I need the putter to kind of take off, and Killer Keith hasn't been very killer on the greens.
No.
He's more of a West Coast killer. And Griot won a Colonial. He's won in the fall before. I mean, for me, at the top of the board, and I'm not bet anyone that high in an event that doesn't ever see those guys win, really. So,
right.
I mean,
to your point, I mean, just as far as the class, right, of the top here.
Yeah.
I mean, Griot played in the playoffs, was 20th at FedEx St. Jude, 31st at the BMW, and 29th at the Tour Championship. Now, he played awful in Atlanta, but he won the Colonial, and so that's the guy, right? I mean, at least in my eyes, from if I'm looking at the year that he's had, he's won before. Can he, after this layoff here, playing since Atlanta, can he come back out and continue that form and be the class? That's kind of what we're asking here. It's tough to get excited about really anybody. I think at the top of the board, there's probably some names more in the middle, and I want to take us there now.
All right.
And I want to play a little game here.
Oh, here we go. You're in a mood today.
Yeah, we're
Zach Johnson set you off. I love it.
Yeah, well, I'm prepared. So that's that's the difference. I'm prepared. I've looked at analytics. I've looked at some statistics, and
I'm wearing off on you.
I'm rolling out some ideas and some names based off of that statistical analysis.
All right.
Not just, hey, I heard Griot is a good dude and he's friends. I'd like to be friends with him, and that's why I'm picking him.
Well, I'm sure he's a good dude to somebody.
I mean, that's where we're at. I mean, seriously, this is where we're at. Not to bring up the Ryder Cup again, but from a U.S. task force and all this is where we're at. Yeah,
I'm ready.
Keegan Bradley's driver and passion and energy of being there probably wouldn't have played out very good. No. All right, buy or sell.
I'm not biting on that.
Buy or sell. Buy or sell.
Right. Buy or sell.
Top 20. Now, if you feel better about it, if you feel better about top 20, tell me.
Okay.
You just mentioned the first guy's name, Svensson. Adam Svensson, Canadian. Buy or sell.
This is a good fit for him. I would buy him at a top 20. I would not go further than that.
Yeah. So I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for this next name, Alex Smalley.
Well, I'm glad you didn't say Sven. I'm glad you didn't make me pick between Svensson and Smalley. So Smalley works with Orr still, and Orr is by trade one of the better putting coaches out there. With the break, you would think that Smalley would come back. I mean, the ball striking doesn't need to be messed with. So he could have spent 7 weeks working on his putting.
Yeah.
Duke guy, played tons of Southern golf, would know Bermuda. The proximity matches, the ball striking matches. So I would go, I could buy on both those guys, top 20, but that's it.
Alex Smalley missed the cut last year, T31 the year before that. Svensson, 4 tries, no top 20s. But I do think both guys better versions of themselves right now.
Yes, they're evolving as players.
Yes, for sure. Where on the other side of that, the next name, who is not Davis Riley, but we've seen Davis Riley do some pretty special things. Okay, same logic of Smalley goes and figures out his putting with his coach, Davis Riley, who's, man, I'll tell you what, made a change in coach, and I think tried to make some changes and just fell off the earth. and is not the same version of himself, but he comes back after a little rest, and Davis Riley finishes in the top 20. Buy or sell?
Sell. And here's the main reason why. Those 9 years that they've played at Country Club of Jackson, the average cut line has been 1.3 under par. Right now, we're talking about a birdie fest. We're talking about one of the top 5 easiest courses on the PGA Tour, but the cut line is only -1, which tells me, or it should tell anybody out there, that people make bogeys there.
Mm-hmm.
So bogey avoidance is a thing. Scrambling is a thing. And that's been one of the weakest areas over this kind of roller coaster for Davis Riley. And I don't, there's nothing that could tell me out there right now that's going to change my mind that suddenly he's going to be, after this 7-week layoff, he's suddenly going to be a good, chipper and pitcher of the golf ball. And I think everyone, whether Ludwig shows up and he just goes on a complete stripe show, pardon the pun, right? And at some point he's going to have to maintain scoring momentum with a couple up and downs from around the green. That's what that's telling you, folks. It's not a 6 under cut place or a 4 under cut place for a place where you win at 20. That disparity between the fact that there'll be a couple rabbits out there in front after 36 holes that'll be like 12 under or 11 under par, and the cut's -1, and you're fitting 65 guys and ties in there, that means that people make mistakes at this place. And as a result, I just need Davis Riley or somebody in that range that you're going to ask me to buy and sell on. They need to be better short game players, and he's just not there yet.
All right, here's one that's a better short game player, Ben Griffin. And he was T24 here last year. He's had a pretty, we see his name run up the board. He's currently 55-1.
Yeah.
I'll buy Ben Griffin top 20.
I mean, we only get 20 of them, so I'm going to sell on him. I could find you 20 names before him in the field.
All right, here's one that I think you're going to buy. I talked about him as my first click, but Sam Ryder, top 20.
Ooh. Oh yeah. I think Sam Ryder has a legit chance. I would go as far as top 5 this week.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, just that move right there.
Yeah.
Right?
Look at this right here. See this? I was talking with this coach, Josh Gregory.
Yeah.
Look, this guy's ball striking has really elevated from an iron perspective, and he drove the ball well his last time out as well. I feel like Sam Ryder is coming in very confident. And with this field and this course, I think he has a very good chance here. And they're working on shallowing that thing out, but hitting fades. So these are shallow fades. I think oftentimes when we use the term shallow it out, people think, well, he's trying to draw it. No, he's shallowing it out and rotating and hitting shallow fades. Now, allow me to take you around the greens, Keith.
Ooh.
Check this out. Yeah. One of the things he tries to do around the green is not fade it, but draw it. Attention golfers, if you're looking to upgrade your game with a set of high-quality clubs that are blazing fast, beyond forgiving, and beautifully made, check out the all-new PXG Gen 6 golf clubs. Not only are they easy to hit, they deliver outstanding distance and incredible accuracy, lowering your scores and bringing you more fun on the golf course. What more could you want? Schedule your Gen 6 fitting today at pxg.com or by calling 844-PLAY-PXG.
Huh.
That. Yeah. It's a little
I'll tell you what.
bias pitch action. Only
He
in the
was top-
stripe show, in the betting show, can this be provided, Keith.
All right, well, let's break this down for a second, because if you go back to the Farmers, right, when he finished, what, 4th, I think it was 4th, right? And he had the lead after 54 hole, whatever, and he went out there in the Cabernet colored pants. But what stood out to me about his ball striking that week that I had never really paid attention to before was his sequence. And I think that's why he is such an elite ball striker. Now, he might not be an elite scorer, but when you look at that sequence, right, meaning using the ground up, whereas most golfers would just pound the ball into that fence on the right because they just yank it down with their arms, right? You watch what those shorts are doing. Take it to the top right now. Watch. Boom. right?
Yep.
That left knee's getting out of there. You go. That left
Yep.
knee's getting out of the way, and that pelvis is like boom, right into the ball like that. Those are your ball strikers. Those guys have no hold back. They have no steer. They hit it solid, and they just know that when they set up and they say, "Oh yeah, I'm 168 away," and Sam Ryder grabs his 9-iron, he just makes that move, and the ball just goes 168. Like he just knows it, right? And to me, that's the type of guy that you want this week, and that putts good on Bermuda. So I would literally go as high as top 5, and I could be convinced that it could be Sam Ryder's time. He's done big event like Farmers. He showed up. He continues to play well. He continues to hit the ball well. He's figuring out how to score. He's figuring out how to win, and he's had his card for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And to do that at that level, to play under that pressure of always being in that 100 to 125 range, and having the ball striking that certainly is worthy of being on the PGA Tour.
Yep.
I like that. I'm glad you brought that. I like that video. That was good.
We're going to do more of that. That's a guy I really like this week. And, I've been kind of texting with his camp, and yeah, they like this place for him too. I'm going to make so much money off Sam Ryder this week. It's going to be absolutely absurd.
I mean, guy makes birdies and he hits the ball good. So if the putter even goes like 2 strokes to the good, he could put together a Burns type win here for sure. Cause he could definitely, go tee to green 9 or 10 between off the tee and approach. No doubt about that in my mind.
Yep, absolutely. All right, one more.
All right.
Middle of the road here. Buy or sell. Finished 3rd here last year. Garrick Higgo.
Sell.
Okay.
He's a birdie machine. There's no doubt about that. But
his last 2 cuts.
There's nothing lately that he went on that 2 years ago when he won on the PGA Tour when he came over. But before that, most people don't know he won a couple times over there in Africa, in like a 3-week span, where he had I think he had like 3 tournaments, which is 12 rounds. Of those 12 rounds, he had like 8 rounds of 65 or better. The guy was unbelievable. And he could go low, but we just haven't seen that level of consistency in scoring from him since that time. And, he's lefty, so something's got to be wrong. So just skip it. Sell.
All right, 2 names. Pick one that you like. Which one do you like better? Defending champ Mackenzie Hughes or Akshay Bhatia? That's a tough one, right?
Well, I just said lefties. Kind of pigeonhole
funny?
myself.
You know what's funny about Mackenzie Hughes? I'll give you some time to think about it.
Yeah.
Is Mackenzie Hughes won this event last year, and he comes back around this year with a different coach. It's just so funny to me how players just, they jump around. I mean, it is inevitable. Like, I talk with coaches, and it's like, it is inevitable. You are going to get fired at some point. It's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And it's probably going to happen in the next couple of years. And then you win, and you're like, as a coach, you're like, this is fantastic. We get to the winner's circle. Mackenzie Hughes, and someone could look at him and say, hey, nice win. But by the time you get to May 1st next year, he's going to be working with someone else. You'd be like, get out of town.
I mean, case in point, imagine your student goes and wins, I don't know, in one season, they win 10 times, 3 majors, U.S. Open by 15, $10 million. This is 20 plus years ago. And then at some point you get fired. I gotta go with Akshay. Better ball striker.
All right.
Better ball striker. And at the end of the day, if neither one of them, and Hughes has career-wise been a decent putter, but he just hasn't, since this time last year, just hasn't been there. And
yeah, I mean,
there's way more upside, talking about the high ceiling with Akshay this week than there is for me with Mac Hughes repeating.
Mackenzie Hughes is not playing nearly as well as he was at this time last year, and he was trending as he came into this. I mean, he was in the playoffs, and 46 at FedEx, 58 at BMW. Starts the season at Fortinet, 25th. Played well, goes to Sanderson Farm, wins. And now you fast forward, new coach after Augusta, miscut, 14th, miscut, 49th, miscut, 30, so it's just,
I mean,
I don't get it.
Akshay's like Sam Ryder. I mean, he's that level of ball striker.
Yeah.
If not, maybe even better, and the putter, whatever putter he shows up with, long, short, I don't know, forearm, whatever, but the ball strike, I mean, just Mac Hughes's ball striking alone just makes me worry about the cut, let alone, beating somebody.
I agree.
So
I agree. Akshay Bhatia right now on the board is 70-1. And Mackenzie Hughes is 70-1. Brandon Wu, 80-1. And so now we start getting into some of the longer shots. And let's finish the show with a bomber. You got a name that, like you said, this is a tournament that can give us some odds. And so is there a guy that you start looking into that 80, 90, 100 and beyond? You might sprinkle a little on him.
I'm going to give you a guy who's top 10 he's 80-1. All right.
Okay.
He's top 10 in the field off the tee. He's top 5 in the field with the putter. Not American. That's my long shot pick.
Are you asking me to guess?
I don't know if I could pique your interest with that. Maybe you wanted to play along, but
Bezuidenhout? No.
Right country though. Right country. MJ Duffy.
MJ Duffy. Okay.
All right. Really good. If there's a birdie machine, really good par 5 scoring. Huge factor this week. Those 4 par 5s over 4 rounds are good. Those guys will eat them up. There's the 15th hole, the drivable par 4. That's another one. The way he drives the ball and the way he putts the ball, the wedge game could be a little more solid, but I'm going with the fact that he's on the tour, that he hits his wedges better than me and you. So if you want someone further down the board who is a name that you don't know, and if you say, Keith, you out of your mind, just bet him top 40. You'll get positive money on a top 40 and put your biggest bet of the week on that, and then just cash in.
I'm trying to pull up MJ Duffy's previous, and it's not letting me.
Well, it's because I have it blocked for you.
And some of his, literally, it's not letting me pull it up. It's very strange. You probably do have it locked.
He missed the cut at the Fortinet. Don't get me wrong, but
wow. Okay. I mean, he's not a great wedge player.
Hey, who was walking up? Give me this much, right? Who was walking up in 2016 going, Cody Gribble's my man?
Right.
Right.
You know who is it? Okay. So on that note, my bomber.
Yeah. Who do you got?
Who is a better wedge player? It's Carson Young. 110-1.
Well,
so I like to run my model, and factor in the key statistics and this and that, yardages, weigh it out based off what we've seen in the past. And Carson comes in 30th for me. I think he'll do enough off the tee. I think his iron game is fine. I think he's a good putter. I think his wedge game is good. He makes a lot of birdies.
He does. Yeah.
And his short game scares the living daylights out of me. But he's 110 for a reason.
For a reason, yes.
And that is the reason. And so, but I like the upside. Bermuda, he checks out well. He finished 19th at Fortinet. He's kind of trending the same way in a weird way as Mackenzie Hughes was last year. And so he goes in there and he hits the ball like he's been hitting it. He gets it up and down a few more times and he sinks a few more putts, and we've got ourselves a 110 bomber. All right, there you have it. Couple long shots. Anybody else I'm missing? Anybody else that you have to say his name before we jump off the air? Anything about the Ryder Cup that maybe you actually did like that played out the way?
I can't say enough good things about Max Homa, and the only rider I'm excited about this week is Sam Ryder.
That's right. That's right.
Leave it at that.
Yep.
I'll be in
absolutely.
Vegas. I'll be in Vegas for you next week.
Yeah.
So
Looking forward to that. Yeah. Fall series. We're going to be trying a few different things. That was fun. This week, some bets to think about here. Sanderson Farms at the Country Club of Jackson. This is the second tournament of the new season. Remember, it's a season-long race to the FedEx Cup. He's Keith. I'm Travis. We'll see you next week.